All right, good evening, guys. I'm sorry for the late response. Kids and busy times and all that good stuff is kind of keeping me from doing this. But I'm going to go through real quick. My goal is to do this in less than 5 minutes to kind of show you the four different types of problems that are on your test tomorrow. Okay, so the first one, this is basically what I went over in class. So, the first type of problem is that I'm going to give you the letters. So in this case, big A, little a, crossed with something like little a, right? And so, I would tell you, okay, big A stands for being tall, we'll say, okay, and little a stands for being short. Okay, so big A, little a, okay, what it would look like. Okay, the genotype of this would be, so first you know the genotype. Okay, the genotype is just the letters. Okay, the phenotype is going to be what it looks like. Okay, so the big A covers up the little a. Okay, so for all intent and purposes, that little a doesn't exist. Okay, when it comes to what it looks like. So this guy is tall. Okay, and the only way the short shows up is if there are two of those alleles. Okay, meaning that this guy, because there's only two short alleles, that means that this guy is going to be short. Okay, so the little a in this case isn't going to have any bearing on what it looks like because the dominant allele, right, the capital is going to cover up the recessive. Okay, so I would ask you something like, what is the percentage, of being tall? Okay, or I would ask you, what is the percentage of being short? I'd ask you one of the two because you could figure out pretty quickly what the opposite one would be, right? So, when you do a Punnett square, each square is worth 25%. Okay, so 25 there, 25 there, and 25 there. Okay, so meaning, that if it takes up one square, that's 25%. If it takes up two squares, that's 25 plus 25 is 50. 75 if it's 3, and 100% if it's all 4. So when we go through, we'll put, of course, the parent genes on top. So big A would go here, okay, and the little a would show up there. Okay, and then the other parent, we'll just do that one in red, The other one will show up as big A, okay, and then, oh, wow, I messed up on that one. Minor thing. So this guy up here, this is going to be the other parent, little a. Okay, so when we cross these two, the big A is going to come down from the top. Okay, the little a is going to come down from over here. The big A is going to come down from top. Okay, and the little a is going to come down from the top. Okay, and now when we talk about the other parent's genes, this little a is going to be right here. Okay, and this little a is going to be right here. Okay, so the order in which you put these isn't incredibly important, other than the fact that the dominant has to come first. So with the little a's, it doesn't matter which one it comes from. So when we go through and we try to figure out which one, so we're going to make the circled purple ones tall. Okay, so essentially anything with that big A, is going to make it tall. So this one here is tall, and that one there is tall. So we can say that 2 out of 4 of these would be tall, which is the same thing as 50%. You wanted the percent sign, And so, and conversely with that, we'll do a different color than that. We will do yellow, So now short, we're going to circle shorts as the yellows. Okay, so in this case, 1 and 2, of course, will be shorts. So that has the exact same percentage, so 2/4, which is 50%. Okay, and so with that could be any combination of different traits. I try to keep it pretty simple in your test, Trying not to overdo the same thing with section 1. So one's like section 1. Okay, there will be 4 questions on the test about that. Okay, so through various different things, where we talk about big A, little a, and we could cross it with big A, little a. Okay, where you're going to get these guys, that terrible Punnett square, So this one, you're going to get big A, little a, and big A, little a. Okay, so if I want to say talls, okay, all the ones with big A, so these two here and those two there. So meaning that you're going to have 3 out of 4 are going to be tall, okay, and 1 out of 4 is going to be shorts, because this one is just going to be the little a, little a. Okay, right? Or we could do one just like this, where you can have big A, cross with, right, little a, right? Because of this guy here, every single square in this Punnett square is going to have the dominant trait when it comes to phenotypes. Okay, meaning that you have a big A there and a big A there. That means that every single box is going to have a big A, which means that you would say there's 100% tall. You wouldn't even really need to do the Punnett square. All you'd have to see is that, oh, that is a homozygous dominant. That means that every square in there is going to have at least one big A. Okay, so those are all the ones like question number 1. Okay, question number 2. Question number 2 is a little bit more challenging because we're implementing words, right? And so basics, right? Heterozygous. Okay, so I'm just heterozygous, right? Is going to be a big A, little a. Okay, homozygous. Okay, is going to either be a little a, or a big A, right? So just remember that word, that prefix homo just means two of the same. Okay, and the next word that would come after it, this would be recessive. Okay, if it was homozygous recessive, right, this would be homozygous dominant. Okay, so when we go through and do that, that's really the only. Those are some of the words that will help you along the way. So we'll go ahead and do practice one. Okay, so on your test, I used a lot of one about bunnies. Right, so we'll go ahead and we'll do bunnies. So we're going to cross 2 bunnies that are heterozygous. Okay, and they are heterozygous for brown fur. Okay, so then, right, with white being the recessive. Okay, so then I could ask you, how many of them are going to be white? White, or in this case, I'd ask you the percentage that are white. Okay. So with that, you can say already from the look of it, you'd say, well, 2 of them are brown, right? And the only way you get white is little a, so that's only going to show up in 25%, or 1 box. Okay, so right, you go back and you do your Punnett square to make sure that is correct. I would tell you, make sure you're doing this and writing out your Punnett squares. You'll have a blank piece of scratch paper there with you. Right, so this is going to have a big A, this one's going to have a big A, and that one's going to have a big A. Okay, this one here is going to be the only one with little a. Okay, so those there, so you'd say, okay, well, the only one that is white is this guy right here. Right, so we'll say the white ones are going to be that one, which is only 1. In this case, that's 1 out of 4. Right, so right, just knowing the basic definitions of homozygous and heterozygous is really the only secret to doing those questions. Okay, so as you guys look at your questions, right, when you see the word heterozygous, okay, I would tell you right above it, big A, little a, right, and then just keep on going from there. Okay, anything that is heterozygous and whatever thing it is, whether it's brown, whether it's tall, whether it's green, any phenotype that it has, what that tells you is that this big A is this color, right? So meaning that you know already, right, that big A is going to be brown, or it's going to be tall, or whichever one that comes after it. Okay, and it will tell you somewhere else in the problem what little a is. Generally, that's indicated, written out over off to the side here somewhere. Right, and so really that's the only secret to using words along the way. Okay, so, right, a third type of problem. Okay, this is problem 3, and so with the problem 2, there's going to be about 2 to 3 questions. I can't remember off the top of my head, but with the next one, we're going to work it backwards. Right, meaning that on one question, I'm going to give you one. I'm going to say, okay, this one's little a. So I want to know what this is, that one is, and that one is. Right, so we're going backwards. So the only way you would ever get a little a up here is if you have a little a there and you have a little a there. So meaning, capitals can come first, right? Meaning now you could either have a big A would be one option, right? Or you could have another little a. If you didn't know anything else about it, there are 2 different possibilities for this one, right? And so here, right, because by convention we always write the capital first, this one has to be little a. So I can say for sure that this at least has 1 little a, this has 2 little a's. Okay, so meaning that you would have to know that something about this parent to know for sure, right? So you would have to say if our big A is tall, okay, if it said in the question that one of the parents was tall, right, then you say, okay, well, it can't be that one. Or if you say both parents were short, right, that gets rid of the other one. Okay, so that gets rid of the big A. Okay, so right, that's a type of question for question 3. Okay, so now for number 4 is going to be working off data. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a data set. Okay, so I would tell you, okay, this number is tall and this number is short. Okay, I'd say, right, if you say you have 750 that are tall and you have 150 short, right, you could say, okay, right, now, one, you know there are short ones there. That means in your Punnett square, there's at least some that have a little a. So I put it down there in the corner, knowing that at least one is going to be heterozygous. Okay, possibly 2. Okay, so now you'd look at this percentage between the 2. Okay, so you have some choices, right? Because it's either 50% or it's 75%. So you're going to choose the one that is closest. Okay, so right, you go through and you'd say, okay, now my math, I'm not 100% sure that I have it worked out, but on your test, I've worked out all the math. But right, and so if you have 1,000 and you have 700 out of 1,000, or 750 out of 1,000, that is 75%. You just get rid of the zeros. Okay, so what that tells you, that's 75%. That means that this is a big A and that's a big A. Right, so it's just working backwards. Okay, and so, right, it's a little harder to tell. Now, with that, you could also, right, I'd say, okay, right, that we have talls and shorts. Right? I'd say that there are 986 tall, okay, and there are 14 shorts. Now, what you would get, generally the number would be smaller than that. It'd be smaller than 14. It'd be something like 4. That there are 4 that are short. Right? What you could tell that this is probably a big A cross with a big A. Right? So possibly a big A with a big A, little a. Now, because odds are, right, theoretically it should be 100%, but nature doesn't always work like that. That if you work this out on paper, these all should be 100%. These 4 off to the side shouldn't be there. Okay, so what you would say is that these 4 are probably a mistake. Okay, meaning that something was cross-contaminated, meaning that it shouldn't belong to those same parents. There was a mistake along the way. So you'd say more than likely the parents are at least one homozygous dominant, with the possibility that one was heterozygous, right? One big A, little a, and there was a mutation that covered up one of these alleles. And we'll talk a lot more about that second semester, but right, this would, right, you'd say probably there was at least one that was homozygous dominant. That's about as far as you could go with that. Right, and so that's the basics of your test. Right, what I would tell you, make sure that you have your notebook on page 87, that you have your notes. Okay, and then make sure on page 86 that you have definitions. Okay, so test tomorrow. Hey, this is your last easy quiz. So anyway, have a good night, and sorry again about it being so late.